So, gentlemen, thanks for joining us today on Leadership Log, which is a podcast for the Air Force Lifecycle Management Center community on topics of interest. And the topic of interest today is learning about the Product Support Managers Conference Forum that's coming up in June. So if we could, we've got an august panel here today to give us some background on this event. Mr. Conley, if you could start off and give us a little introduction and some background on the PSM Forum.
Sure. Thanks, Daryl. Thanks for hosting us today. So what we are having in June is our Product Support Manager Forum, which this will be our 4th annual forum. And we have found these forums very valuable to help our product support managers, who are key logistics and product support leaders in program offices, to connect and kind of get messages from senior leadership.
Okay. And Dr. Baer, you are going to be moderating again this year. If you could give us a little introduction, background on your organization as well, and what your involvement specifically is going to be.
Yeah, certainly. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm Dr. Mike Baer, and I work for Defense Acquisition University. And everyone knows us from the teaching aspect, but on top of the teaching aspect of our mission, we also are chartered to do things that we call mission assistance, where we actually get to provide real-time opportunities and real-time assistance to programs or our customers out in the field, such as Lifecycle Management Center. So in this case, that's what we'll be doing. I've been working for them since about 2008, and I'm extremely grateful that Mr. Conley brought me into this forum. It was probably I think it was either the first or the second forum that we actually had the opportunity. And as you stated, I'll be moderating or emceeing this event. These are the kind of the cool things that allow us at DAU to come out and keep our thumb on the pulse of what's really taking place in the community. And actually, we get to bring it back to the classroom. It brings a great deal more credibility for us, as well as a great deal of assistance for folks like Mr. Conley and his organization. So we thank you again for the opportunity.
And again, just to refresh your search, so your organization is responsible for a lot of the professional education for the acquisition professionals in the Air Force Lifecycle Management Center.
We are actually the way it kind of works. We are chartered to actually teach the classes. We develop the classes based upon the needs of the services. So they put the requirements together, dictate how many seats they would like to have each year. Even most recently, where OSDs come in and restructured how we certify the levels of certification of all the functions across the defense acquisition workforce. And so we're chartered to develop those classes to support those certifications for not only lifecycle logistics, but all the other functions as well.
And Mr. Hess, you're actually currently serving as a product support manager. So help us understand a little bit about what your job is and how that relates to this forum.
Thank you. And simplistically, I'm responsible and accountable to the program manager and senior material leader for all the product support for their assigned acquisition programs and/or weapon systems. So this forum actually helps us develop our toolbox and also look at different things across the command. I especially like that LCMC started this 4 years ago, because going to the DoD product support workshop, that was a very strategic focused, very generic for all the services. And the Air Force typically had 1 to 3 hours at the end to talk about Air Force issues. This gives us 3 days to interact and work within our center and within AFMC, so we can actually learn from each other and focus strictly on the Air Force. Over.
Okay. Now, you said product support. For people who don't understand or maybe don't work in acquisitions, help them understand it. So you're talking about like logistics needs for systems, or what specifically you're talking about?
I think a former senior functional that I had used to describe it as the engineers may develop a bike from a drawing. You have the PMs will go out and develop the acquisition strategy of how they're going to acquire it. Contracting puts it on contract. FM will do the funding. We're responsible for making sure that when you get a flat tire, you don't throw the bike away and get a new one. We've got all the spare parts. We've got the tech data to do maintenance. we will do all the supportability for that. So when it's actually fielded, you can continue to use it.
Okay. All right. Good. Thanks. So, Mr. Conley, talk to us about the forum itself. What's the purpose and what's your objective going into it?
Yeah, so in terms of purpose, it's really about dialogue. So we can have product support managers talk to each other, kind of share experiences, if you will, and then they build that relationship. So it's always nice to have a kind of a peer that that you can reach out and say, hey, I'm having this particular issue. What could you tell me about how to solve that? And it helps in terms of communication, not only among the product support managers with each other, but also with our logistics directorate here, our home office staff, so that we can understand what needs they have and we can better meet those with policy and processes that we put in place. And then we also bring other stakeholders in, and I think we'll talk about that in a bit, but they give us a different perspective in terms of what's going on. So in terms of understanding what our objectives are, we really want to get our senior leadership involved, not only from within the center, but from outside the center as well. DAU, OSD, those are valuable inputs for our logisticians to understand. And then how is it that our product support managers should implement OSD, DoD and strategic goals to make sure that we are meeting what the warfighter needs, especially as we're in this near peer environment. So those are just a few of the things. We also have a special focus on cross-functional collaboration, let's say with maybe engineering or contracting or financial management, that we can bring into this very focused audience, if you will.
And is there a particular theme or topics that you're looking to get after this year?
Yeah, so our theme this year is maximizing product support management effectiveness through strategic, functional, and cross-center engagement. So that theme kind of cuts across the the purpose and the objectives that we just talked about.
Okay, all right. So Dr. Baer, can you walk us through some of the presentations and how do you see the event kind of unfolding?
I certainly think that's a great question. I'm gonna actually ask if at any given time either Mr. Conley or Mr. Hess want to jump in on any of this. I'm going to try to very quickly synopsize what you're going to see, but please jump in. I've had the opportunity to MC these type of events for over the past few years. I worked with the LCMC Acquisition DAU Insight Days a while back, and that was a live event. And we're going to be doing this LCMC PSM conference, and it was going to be a live event or workshop. And then all of a sudden COVID came, and we ended up going virtual. So this hybrid version, I think, is going to certainly challenge some versatility. You probably heard on a previous conversation of the questions on how do we make this thing sing. So that'll be my challenge as we go through. I'll just say I'm excited. As Mr. Hess said, we used to just do this, go to OSD, we'd go to do the PSM forum, and you got a very short amount of time, and it was only a bunch of PSMs. This forum has an opportunity to bring strategic leaders together, and that's kind of, I think, the biggest piece of it. That on day one, I see some of our most senior leaders coming out of Headquarters Air Force, SAF AQ, OSD, our own center commander is going to be there. So, I mean, anytime you get those folks together, you're sure to get a great strategic look at not only what's going on, but how we fit in to those plans at the highest levels. And I think that postures us so well to jump into the second day, where we actually start talking across different centers or organizations. I'll say, we like to say in product support management is a team sport. We can do really nothing alone. Matter of fact, we don't even, for the most part, own them. We don't deal, we have another function that deals with money, another function actually sustains, and but having folks like having a PEO panel there, having the Rapid Sustainment Office involved, AFRLs, the test community, AFSC, bringing them all will give us all some insight and some dialogue on on how we can best collaborate across oftentimes these geographically separated units that are so vital to make product support management a reality. And again, it flows so well into that third day, which I call kind of the nuts and the bolts of the execution piece. Well, as you probably heard us talk about, we have an SML panel taking place, but we're also going to bring other experts from other functions like FM and the engineering cadre and folks like that come together, and that we have to work side by side, elbow to elbow, shoulder to shoulder, so to speak, to support the weapons system, not only now but into the unforeseeable future. So I'm extremely excited about this, and I'm excited to see what happens, and I'm excited to see the results from when all the participants come in, and all the attendees get a chance to participate in this. I'm hoping that answers the question. I open that up to any of my other colleagues.
Now, you mentioned that there's going to be some presentations, direct presentations from for like a single speaker, but then there'll also be panel discussions as well, okay, which are going to be generating a lot of questions and a lot of answers and things of that nature, right? Absolutely.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I think we expect a little bit, we've done this in the past. We almost insist on dialogue. It cannot be just pushing slides and one-way communication. We need to get the PSMs back in, and we spend a lot of time daily ensuring that we're acquiring that feedback and that two-way communication. And how do we get it the next day if we weren't quite getting what we wanted the first day over?
Yep.
I see Jeff's got his hand up.
Yeah, one to add?
Yes, I want to piggyback off of that, because I think the virtual actually allows us to have more personnel attend and listen to the discussions. I can have some of my junior logisticians and my mid-level that can actually see some of the senior level discussions, see where the Air Force is going, see where our direction is, that will help them execute their programs. And by doing it virtual, I can have them participate, but not necessarily, if I don't have the money to send them to TDY, they can still listen and see what's going on. Over.
Yep, that's a great idea. So what other parts of the agenda appeal to you, Mr. Hess? Are there any particular sessions that you're looking forward to that relate back to your work center?
Actually, all of it relates back, but what I've gotten out of the last three and looking forward to this one, I still like the senior layer perspectives, because a lot of times there's a lot of guidance that's coming down, but we get that discussion of where that came from. How did it, what was the genesis for something? The PEO panels are always great because seeing the different perspectives from the different PEOs. And I'm really looking forward to the first senior material leader, because that's who we interact on a day-to-day basis. What are the different senior material leaders looking for out of their proc support managers? I will say that networking, as Mr. Conley mentioned, it has been invaluable over the past few years, building relationships in person. And then when you needed to reach out, you weren't a name on an email or a voice over a phone. You actually had a relationship with somebody, and it helped solve a lot of things quicker.
Yeah, that's something that and especially the actual physical presence there, it can't be substituted in any other way. So, it pretty much brings us to the end of our time. But before we close, I just want to see if there's anything that I didn't ask about or anything that you would like to add. We'll start with Mr. Conley.
Well, let me just kind of echo what Jeff said. I think that, in-person meeting is good. In fact, Jeff and I were in a class years ago, and just that face-to-face interaction. I hadn't met him before, but I was truly impressed with him. And I think that's what this kind of forum does for us. And then to what Dr. Bear said, let me just encourage everyone to think about interacting. All right. We bring a lot. We are very fortunate to have some very senior leaders come, and not to speak for them, but I think they want to hear what's on our minds, and even if it's tough questions. So let me just encourage you to start sharpen your pencil right now, write down those questions and get them ready. So when June comes, we can have a good, robust dialogue with our senior speakers. So thank you.
Yeah, these are great opportunities to ask questions of senior leaders that you normally don't get the opportunity to do. So, Dr. Bear, anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I would add to this. I mean, Mr. Hess was speaking about this, how we can get so many people into the same forum at one time. I mean, these, I'll just say, just very the not too distant past, before COVID happened, we were dreaming about being able to VTC or DCO people into at this quantity, and we were failing miserably doing that because of not having the technology and the bandwidth to make it happen. But now, as a result, when COVID happened, industry just came out. They just reacted so strong and brought us just so many tools that we can use right now. The things that we hoped and wished for in the not too distant past.
Right.
And so I think kudos to everybody that's jumping onto this, is that attend, and also, I mean, kudos to all the leadership that continues to leverage these tools to try to get these types of events out to our society at large, if you will. Everybody that's out there that could otherwise not be able to attend. So thank you, and thank you for the opportunity once again to attend and be a part of it.
Mm-hmm. And Mr. Hess?
Yes, I really want to compliment the staff there in AFLCMC, because building this technical and cross-functional focus that we have as part of this forum, to me, is outstanding. We just had an issue that we support another division as part of their ACAP program, and we had to form a cross-functional, geographically separated team to work an issue, because simplistically, we could have just said, let's do the same thing we're doing on the aircraft that's being replaced. But there's been so many changes with manufacturing, the avionics, how the aircraft is built, what's going on in the aircraft, that the old way didn't make sense. So we got everybody together and we came up with a new way to support it. And from an outsider looking in, it says you get a new aircraft, you're going to bring it into the depot earlier and more often than your old system, but yet you're still saving availability. You're still returning the aircraft to the warfighter. You're saving flow days, you're saving cost, and you're saving repair time. There's a lot of things that we can do differently when we get all those functional teams around. Over.
Yeah. And Mr. Conley, just for some closing comments, we'll go back to you.
Yeah, so thanks, Daryl, for hosting us, and to Dr. Bear and Mr. Hess for joining. It's nice to sense the enthusiasm. I hope the folks that watch this will block it off on their calendars and make this a high priority to attend. We put a lot of effort here from the staff to putting this and making it a quality product. And so we hope you'll come and enjoy it and really get a lot out of it. So thank you very much.
All right. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us today on Leadership Log and helping us understand about the Product Support Managers Forum coming up in June. Thanks very much.